Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Reverend Sherri's Metaphysical Bible Hangout. I'm Reverend Sherri James, and I'm the Senior Minister for Understanding Principles for Better Living Church, better known as Upchurch. We are located in Inglewood, California, and our services are every Sunday at 600 West Queen Street in Inglewood, California. And we would be delighted if you are ever in the Southern California area, if you would just come hang out with us on Sunday. It is such a wonderful service. We have such a good time praising and celebrating the presence of God that lives within each one of us. This Bible Hangout is a free weekly Bible study that I do every Thursday. We're here and we work in series. So right now we're in the middle of a new series called Empower the Giant Within You. Empower the Giant Within You. And I am in love with this. I'm in love with this book. Oh my goodness. This woman, Imelda Octavia Shanklin, whew, she is incredible. And this chapter is so interesting because I work through the material and I make my notes, and I literally underlined almost the entire chapter. You can actually get a free copy of the text at truthunity.net, and if you just do a search there for Imelda Shanklin or What Are You, which is the name of the book, you can get a free copy of it. But this series that we started last week, and it's going to run through November 12th, is all about living the life that Spirit intended. I want you in a position where you can claim your spiritual inheritance and develop the spiritual poise that comes with knowing what you are, and also to remove the mental and emotional blocks to your full self-expression. So that's what we are looking at. That is the intent for this. And here's our outline for tonight. I've got a couple of announcements, then the opening prayer. Then we're going to talk about why spiritual identity matters and what are you. And then we're going to look at how does your mind work, and we're going to look at the threefold nature of your mind, and we're going to talk about accepting 100% responsibility for your world. And then we'll go to how do you train your mind, and we'll look at the 7 rules that she lays out in this chapter for training your mind. And all of this is for the purpose of awakening to your divine nature. So every lesson, this is step 2 in the process. Step 1, which we did last week, was recognize your divine nature. Step 2 today is train your mind to think straight. You can follow along on the blog. I always write a companion piece. I always love if you leave me a comment. So thank you so much for those of you that have gone and left comments. But you can follow along, and I'm usually, we always go more in depth in the class, but generally what we talk about or what we plan to talk about, it starts there in that written piece. So my teleseminar, so I have a confession to make. My confession is that life has happened, and I want so badly to just release this class and put it out and just get it out into the world, and just life has happened. And I planned to release the class in March, and then that got pushed to April, and then that got pushed to May, and then I got busy with some stuff with Jordan. But essentially what I realized is that I really had not acknowledged how much my life has changed because he is in my life. And I love the fact that this baby is in my life, but it just means that I cannot get all the things done. And so quite literally, I have, gotten a bunch of stuff together, and then here's what my life looks like. I drop him off in the morning at 9, I pick him up at 5:30. Everything that I have got to accomplish has got to happen in that time frame. And often what happens is that it's a timing thing. Is it that I literally the time is not there to pull off what I want to pull off. And so that's what's happening. And so and there's the ambitious, driven part of me that says the teleseminar is going to be released in September. And it's like, there was just too much on my plate. So I don't want to announce when the date is coming because I'm ready to launch now with the course. But it just the way that my life is working, I literally had to kind of push it back a little bit. And the good news is that what I'm going to do is going to be I'm excited about it, and it really is going to represent the best of my work. And I try to do that every time I go forward. But life happened, and I was talking to my coach. I have a coach that I work with for my website. And I said, what do I say? Because I've been saying this class is coming, saying this class is coming, saying this class is coming. And I said, I'm getting to the place where I feel like people are going to think that I'm flaky and, just kind of like the boy who cried wolf. And he said, the best thing is to be honest. And what's really happening in my life is that my time is crunched. So literally putting out a blog post every week, preparing for this class, and handling the affairs of church, I've reached the limit. And until I get an assistant or some other miracle of God, it just means that I've got to move on a slower timetable. So, my intent is to release the class soon, but I think I'm going to just kind of reserve putting a date out there because I don't want to break another promise. Geez, Louise, do not want to break another promise. But two, it's just what is happening in my life. So my apologies, but when it does come, please know that I will bring to you everything that I have, guns a-blazing. Ray says, Sherri, Jordan is most important. Now we understand your plate is full. Full doesn't even begin to describe it. Marvin said, I led a circle Wednesday. I did okay, but I wish I had been more prepared. Yeah, that's how I feel with like so many things. But, preparing for this class, like it takes me probably about 3 or 4 days to get everything together. And it's not that I spend the entire day working on it, but I've got to let the information come alive in me. So generally I'll read the text twice and make notes on it. And then I'll go back to the text a third time and just kind of try to understand what is being communicated and let the Holy Spirit guide me into what I'm supposed to highlight. And so just that time is just, that's three days at least of, putting the material together. And then of course the post has got to be written. So anyway, the short version is that I apologize and I can't wait to release the class. But I have to change the timetable. That's just the real deal. Alita says, all of us mothers understand. And I think that's really it, is that I have not been understanding for myself. I've been holding myself to this standard of single woman, no kids, and that world is gone. that world doesn't exist anymore. So I have had to adjust. I want to remind you to sign up for my newsletter. The Metaphysical Bible Hangout is free. But in order to get the information on the broadcast and to make sure that you have the link to join us, you have to receive the email from me about it. And the only way to get that is to be a part of my newsletter. So, or like my Facebook page, because I'm doing a little bit more activity there. And then my Facebook page is Rev Sherri James. The scripture for this 9-part series is John chapter 10, verse 34. Is it not written in your law, I said you are gods? And Genesis 1:26, let us make humankind in our image according to our likeness and let them have dominion. If you would just take a few moments to simply relax right where you are. Father, Mother God, you know the preparation that has gone into today, and I just ask that you have your way with this lesson. You have sent me to wake people up to their divinity. You have sent me to make them aware that they are like Jesus, and that the potential that he displayed is the potential that is true for their lives. And so I just ask you for the anointing, the authority, the power to share this message without reservation, without hesitation, and without apology. Thank you, God. Thank you for this message. Thank you for using this platform and using me as a vehicle to spread this message of divinity through this platform. Thank you. I know that every prayer is answered, and so this prayer is no different. I release it in the name and through the power that is in the name of the one that is called the Christ. It is so, and so it is. So This is a slide you're going to see on every class for this session, which is that you are spirit. You are a soul that has forgotten its divine identity. A soul now struggling to remember in the midst of time and in the confusions of experiences that you are the living son of the living God. I must repeat that. You are a soul that has forgotten its divine identity, a soul now struggling to remember in the midst of time and in the confusions of experiences that you are the living son of the living God. Spiritual identity is so important. I cannot overstate how important spiritual identity is. What you identify with determines how you show up for life. When you do not identify yourself as the son, the living son of the living God, and son meaning genderless, so living child of the living God, when you do not identify yourself that way, or even understand what that means, because there are people who will call themselves a child of God, but they will behave as if they are a worm of the dust. They will behave as if sickness actually has some authority over their experience. They will behave as if the things that are appearing in their lives are somehow have mastery over them. So it is understanding that you are the living son or child, if that gender bothers you, the living child of the living God, but also grasping what that is. And so this series is about waking up. It is time. You know, there's a scene, I don't know if you guys know the film Do the Right Thing. Was it Do the Right Thing? Yes, I think it's Do the Right Thing. Do the Right Thing. And at the end of the film, the character walks up to the camera and he's looking up to the camera and he says, "Wake up!" Now, of course, that film was about waking people up culturally, about, you know, African American history and a whole lot of other things. But my wake up to you is wake up to who you are. Wake up to the fact that you are not this flesh and bone body that you see. This is an illusion, but what is true is the life force that animates this. You are divine, period. There's no like ifs, ands, or buts about that. You're not like, oh, I'm a spiritual being having a human experience. No, no. You are a spiritual being living in a spiritual world governed by spiritual laws. And the locus of control is within you. So you have got to begin to own who you really are. Ray says, I'm curious, have you had the experience of the Bible or a part of it coming alive in you? I was listening to Neville Goddard yesterday. When he said that, it stirred something in me. I know everyone's experience is different. I would love to hear your experience if you care to share it. Yeah, 100%. I actually shared something on on my Facebook page yesterday about that, because I'm this month, or these last few weeks at least, I've been studying the letter of James, and that's how I relate to the Bible, that the people become real people for me, and that when I'm reading about Abraham, I'm right there with Abraham and you know, Sarai, and when I'm reading about Jesus, I'm right there with Jesus, and when that woman is reaching through the crowd and touching him, while of course all these other people are pressing on him, I'm right there with her, feeling what she's feeling. So 100%. I don't know if I'd describe it the same way that Neville describes it. Because he describes something that is wholly mystical and on a whole other realm. So I cannot say that that is the experience for me, but it absolutely does come alive for me, that it ignites my imagination. Marvin says, a friend of mine used to say that I was the only Bible some people would see. So in some sense, it must be alive in us. 100%. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, we are not, unfortunately, a Bible literate society. There are pockets of people who study the Bible, and even a lot of those pockets they don't necessarily study the Bible for new ideas. They study the Bible to reinforce the ideas that they already have. And so it's even just being aware of how our Bible came together, you know, the human fingerprint that is all over the Bible, that you cannot ignore. You know, it is not something that you just kind of put aside and say, well, God intended it that way. No, some human beings had, you know, and so all of that humanness is in there. All of those people who didn't know themselves to be divine, but had an experience with the divine, all of that's in there too. Alita corrected me. Yes, it's school days. I thought that. Yeah, but I wasn't sure. Yeah, when I was talking about the wake up, that's from school days. Thank you for that. So my point is that it's important for you to know who you are. It is not a small matter for you to truly grasp that you are spirit. In fact, I would simply work with the affirmation, if I were you, I am spirit, over and over again, because you're looking to impress this idea on your mind. Why spiritual identity matters. Ralph Waldo Emerson, and this is, now, some of you guys don't know, this is my favorite writer, more than anybody else ever in the history of writing, ever. When I read this man's writing, I literally vibrate. And I cannot, what I mean is that literally I'm like, as I'm reading him, I'm shaking because I want to get up and go run and tell somebody. His writing, in fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pick one of his essays or a couple of his essays, and we'll pick them apart in 2016 as part of the Bible series. Ralph Waldo Emerson was a transcendentalist, and I cannot say enough good things about him, and it delights me to no end to know that he and I both share May 25th as a birthday. He is phenomenal, but I picked him to really talk about this topic with train your mind to think straight. Because, yes, Marvin says Emerson is alive in you. My God, and my prayer, my sincere prayer, is to be able to write the way that he writes. His writing is so thick that when you come back to it, it's amazing. You cannot get that on the first draft. I don't know how many drafts he had to write to get it, but it is just like the phenomenal does not begin to describe this man's writing. It is absolutely amazing. Oh, you know what? I'm running through. I missed some comments. Kanisha says, "I feel you. I have 5 sons." Thank you, Kanisha. And Kanisha corrected me. It's actually school days. Yes. Oh wait, somebody said, "How much is it?" I'm working on that. She asked me about how much is it. I'm assuming you mean how much is the class. I had a price. I don't want to say it because if it changes, I don't want this to be recorded for all time. Meaning lower it or raise it, one or the other. So I want, if you don't mind, I want to hold off on that. But it is a private class where I don't do it publicly. I work with you privately, and I work with you one-on-one and give you tons of really good information. Anyway, the quote. Ralph Waldo Emerson says, "People do not seem to realize that their opinion of the world is also a confession of character." And I think that is huge, because we do not see the world as it is. We see the world as we are. And so that's why I wanted to choose him for tonight. And then Tony Robbins, and I wanted to give you the exact quote. This is just a short version of it. He says, "If you want to change your life, you have to change your story." And I'm going to pull up the other piece of what he says. Hold on. Let's do a search here. This is such a powerful quote. It's from his book, Money, Master the Game. And this is what he says. He says, "If you want to change your life, you have to change your story. If you're not taking action and the answer is sitting there in front of you, there's only one reason. You've created a set of beliefs that you've tied into a story about why it won't work, why it can't work, why it only works for other people. With a disempowering story, failure is nothing less than guaranteed." I love that. With a disempowering story. So the part of our story is how we identify ourselves. Part of our story is what we call ourselves. And so when you do not identify as a spiritual being and you identify as a human, You automatically build into your story your inability to overcome the things in your life, automatically. So how you identify is, I cannot overstress how important that is. Marvin says what you said last week about redefining our past. Yes, that is exactly it. How does your mind work? Okay, so now this is going to be the quickest man is a threefold being. So the mind is threefold, meaning that we are triune, right? We are spirit, soul, body. Our minds are triune. There is a superconscious phase of mind. There is a conscious phase of mind, and there is a subconscious phase of mind. Excuse me. I want to be clear here before I go any further. Sometimes you will hear people say subconscious mind, conscious mind, superconscious mind. That is incorrect, because it will lead you to believe that you have three minds. You do not. In fact, you don't have a mind, because you are a point of awareness in the one mind. There is only, everything always boils down to the one. There is only one mind, and that mind is the mind of God. What you are is a point of awareness. But we need language to be able to discuss how it is that our minds process these God ideas and then press them out into expression. The superconscious phase of mind, or the superconscious aspect of your being, is the aspect of your being that is constantly being impressed with the ideas of God. So it is the part of you that is in receipt of the idea called love. It is the part of you that is in receipt of the idea called peace. It is the part of you that is in receipt of the idea called joy. These ideas are perfect. They are intangible. This is an aspect. Another synonym for it is, we call it the Christ mind. The conscious phase of mind is the part of you that thinks. It makes decisions. It decides. It chooses. It analyzes. It deduces. It rejects. It's the active side of you. You'll hear it referred to sometimes as your thinking nature, because this is the aspect of you that is consciously aware of the present moment and that is thinking in the present moment. Here's the thing about the conscious phase of mind, is that it is pivotal, meaning that it turns. So it can turn and pull information from the superconscious phase of mind, or your Christ mind, or it can turn and pull information from the world. It can look at what is happening in our three-dimensional experience and make decisions about who and what it is based on what it sees through, or what it gets as far as data, through the senses, through your eyes, through your touch, through the smell, through the taste, right? And then there is the subconscious phase of mind. You'll hear this referred to in Scripture as your heart. This is the phase of mind that is the seat of all memory, the seat of all feeling. You'll hear it referred to as your feeling nature. When we say man or humankind is both male and female, this is what we mean, is that we have a thinking nature and we have a feeling nature. We associate the thinking nature with the masculine side of our being, and we associate the feeling nature with the feminine side of our being. Here's the thing about the subconscious mind. It is out of the heart that comes the issues of life, that comes the experience of life. It is what is in your subconscious mind that has been impressed upon you and accepted within your subconscious phase of mind that determines your experience. So this is why you can think a thought that does not then press into an experience immediately. It just gets deposited in the subconscious mind, waiting for other like thoughts. And over time, when those thoughts build up, they eventually spill out of your heart and into your life. And so your life then becomes a reflection of what is in your subconscious mind. Those three phases of mind together the superconscious phase of mind, the conscious phase of mind, the subconscious phase of mind, we refer to in New Thought as the entire mind. But again, it's a little bit of a misnomer because it would seem to suggest that you have a mind apart from God, and you do not. In fact, there is only one mind, and that mind is God. Now, why is it then that I express something other than the beauty and the presence of God? If God is pressing all of these wonderful ideas in on me all the time, how come love doesn't come out perfectly? How come peace shows up as some craziness, right? In your conscious phase of mind, it is where you get to make a decision about love, about peace, about joy. And you decide how it gets deposited in your subconscious phase of mind. Now, there's some things that got deposited before you even realized you were depositing things there. But you look at the idea called love and say all men are dogs. You look at the idea called peace and you say they don't care about me. In fact, Michael Jackson got a whole song called They Don't Really Care About Us. Really, Michael? I mean, I know he's gone, so he can't really come back and really defend himself, but really, you got to be mindful of what you say, because your opinion of the world is a confession of your character. Your opinion of the world is a confession of your character. And check for questions, make sure I didn't miss anybody. Okay, wonderful. So I hope that's a very, very short, I mean, literally, there's so much more to say about the triune nature of our minds, but I just wanted to give you kind of a short skim of this aspect of how our minds are put together. Again, there is only one mind, the mind of God, and each person is a point of awareness in the mind of God. So each of us looks at the idea called love, and we tune in where we tune in. And some of us tune in and we don't perceive love, meaning it's there, but it's been clouded over by judgment and experience and all kinds of other things, and so it becomes hard to just see the idea of love in its purity. And so we can believe love can happen for someone else, but we can't believe that love can happen for us. Or we don't believe love is happening for anybody. I know someone who would tell me, you know, people who are in long-term relationships, meaning marriages that go on for, 50 years or whatever, and that person would say, you know what, they just made an agreement. That's possible. I watched Reverend Della and Franklin, and I see a honeymoon happening even in their 80s. So, again, our opinion of the world is a confession of our character. When you rule your mind, and this is why you want to train your mind to think straight, you rule your world. Many people try to rule their world from the outside, but that's the equivalent of getting out of the car and grabbing the tires and trying to steer the car from the tires. That's not where you steer it from. You've got to get in the driver's seat and turn the car from the steering wheel. The steering wheel for your life is your mind. When you rule your mind, you rule your world. When you choose your thoughts, you choose results. It's time to accept 100% responsibility for your life. Everything that is there because of an invitation that you gave to it. That might be a hard pill to swallow, especially in the midst of the things that are happening all around us. And we want to blame someone else for the things that are happening in our experience. But the truth is that we behaved our way into the experience. We behaved our way into the experience. I want to make a distinction, and Yvonne brought this up last week, and I'm so glad she did, because there's a difference between blame and responsibility. Blame paralyzes you. It's somebody else's fault, or it's my fault, or whatever, but blame paralyzes you. Taking responsibility removes the judgment, removes the emotion from it, and says, these are the facts. What am I going to do about it? Whose fault it is immaterial. Maria Nemeth in The Soul of Money, The Energy of Money. Lynn Twist wrote The Soul of Money. Maria Nemeth in The Soul of Money says, she tells the story of a driver who is driving on a foggy road at night, and he cannot see more than like a foot in front of him. And it's a deep, thick fog. And then all of a sudden the fog lifts. But the moment the fog lifts, he realizes that he's driving on the wrong side of the road, and headed towards him is an 18-wheeler barreling towards him. In that moment, what is the right thing to do? Should he spend time thinking about what caused him to get on the other side of the road? Should he go back and see if there was something in his childhood that influenced him to choose to drive on a foggy road at night? Or should he simply course correct? We lose a lot of time trying to get to the why. The thing about why is that no matter where you touch why, the answer for it is always going to change. Think about that. Stuff that happened to you way back when, in the moment that you asked why did this happen, you had one answer. If you revisited it today, you'd have another answer. Why is a moving target. Why is a moving target. Course correct. Get on the right side. Think the right thoughts. If there is something that you need to know about why you made the choice that you made, it will be revealed to you. But you do not necessarily need to know why you were in the condition that you were in. It is not material to you staying out or not slipping back into that condition. I want to make that clear, because we believe that you got to know why so you don't go back there. You need to course correct. The right thought dissolves the state of mind so that it's no longer available to you. The right thought over and over again, dissolves the state of mind that you were in so that it is no longer available to you. So we assign all of these stories. Remember what Tony said? Sometimes we give ourselves a disempowering story. So I can't lose weight until I figure out why I got fat in the first place. Who told you that? Losing weight is actually a scientific thing. It's really a scientific thing. If you take in fewer calories than you are expending, the body shrinks. But when you add all of this emotion to it, yeah, it gets hard to not eat the cookie. And it gets hard to not eat the crackers or whatever your thing is, whatever that is. And I'm not saying that there's not value in self-reflection. I do not mean to suggest that. But what I'm saying is that a lot of self-reflection ends up passing for just sitting still and not taking action. The truth is that if you simply just get up and put one foot in front of the other, everything you need to know to push you to where you want to be will come and meet you. And if there's a piece of what you need to know about why you were there, it will reveal itself to you. But you going and looking to it is you getting off track. Andrea says, in my conscious phase of mind, I can choose the day I will serve. Choose this day I will serve. As of my consciousness, I will serve the highest part of my being, God. Amen. Constance says, oh, that was Andrea said that. Constance says, Abraham says, just lay new pipe and stop digging up the old. Girl, that's it. Just lay new pipe and stop digging up the old stuff. All of this, why? Trust me, it's the ego that needs to know why. Marvin says the paralysis of analysis. Yes, 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 yes. And double yes. So accepting responsibility. Take responsibility. Again, not blaming. You know, we all could look at the reason. Let me back up. Here's the thing with blaming. Blaming is through your eyes. Blaming is looking through your eyes. And we already said that our opinion of the world is a confession of our character. So, okay, you work that out. Do not let yourself be thrown into a panic by any feeling. When you feel danger, it's actually the feeling of danger that's the danger. Face life and its situations with courage, because you have the ability to unform and reform at will. One of the best stories to read is Frankenstein. Is it Mary Shelley? Percy Shelley. Percy Bysshe Shelley? Mary Shelley? Anyway, pick up Frankenstein. I think it's Mary Shelley. Pick up Frankenstein, because it is a wonderful example of what we do with our minds. Is that we are lives, right? But we're not being mindful of what we're thinking. And then what we're thinking builds a Frankenstein. And then that Frankenstein gets up off the table and chases us around the room. And we are running, running, running. Lord, save me from Frankenstein. No, stop and look Frankenstein in the eye and tell it to go back from the nothingness from whence it came. You don't have to run from the creations of your mind, because you created them. The creator is always greater than the creation. Always. You are the source as far as your life is concerned. God is source. But you are the source of the forms in your experience. When you run from the forms of in your experience, you train your mind to believe that you can't handle the things in your life. And there is nothing that you have formed, even if it's a foreclosure, even if it is a health condition, even if it is depression, whatever it is that you have formed in your life, you are still greater than it. And if you will stop running from Frankenstein, you'll be able to put Frankenstein back in its place and disassemble Frankenstein. Reverend Barbara says, course correct. I have never... Makes sense. Thank you. Thank you. Ray says it's Mary Shelley. Thank you. The Sorcerer's Apprentice. You know what, Marvin? I don't know that story. The Sorcerer's. I mean, I've heard it, but I don't remember. I probably read it in grade school, but I don't remember it. I don't remember the plot of that story. But the concept is the same. That you create your world, and then you run from the things that you created. So let's talk about how you train your mind. These are the rules for how you train your mind. The first rule is to recognize that you are what your thoughts assemble. You are what your thoughts assemble. So never entertain a thought for someone else that you would not want to have manifested in your own life. Never entertain a thought for someone else that you would not have manifested in your own life. One of my favorite sermons of Reverend Mary, she talks about people, you know, voodoo, right? And she said, you know, folks don't cast a voodoo spell on you. And it's like, don't you know it's got to pass across your lips? It's got to run through you in order to get out into the world, which means the curse you think you're putting on somebody else is the curse you're putting on yourself. Oh, that was my favorite. When she said that, I said, this woman here. Kanisha says, how to disassemble Frankenstein would be a great series title. Yes, it would. Absolutely. How to take Frankenstein apart. Our thoughts assemble our world. So if you can think of every thought that you have as a building block, and it's building something. Every thought is building something. And what happens is that the way that you empower the thought is that you become fascinated by it. You start to give it your attention. Usually the things that get our attention are some kind of calamity. We get a call for something that we don't have the ability to meet in the moment based on what we can see. And it could be financial, it could be health, it could be relational, it could be whatever, right? But the point is that you have been asked for something that you cannot, through your own eyes right now, see how it's going to happen. And then we become fascinated by it. And what I mean by fascinated by it is that we start to worry about it. We start to fret about it. And it has our full attention, and we are worried, and we're anxious, and we can't sleep because we don't know how it's going to work out. And really what we're doing is that we're taking the energy of God or the mind of God and putting it to action behind something that we actually don't want. When you pay attention, you are buying the experience that comes with the thought that you are paying attention to. So you want to be mindful. This is why the Philippians 4:8 says, whatever is pure, I'm going to misquote it because I haven't memorized it. Whatever is pure, whatever is commendable, if there's anything of any excellence. Basically, this is what you need to think about. You're busy over here thinking about all the things that could go wrong, getting fascinated by that. Get fascinated by what could go right. Get fascinated by what could work out for you. Get fascinated by how things could really work in your favor. Number 2, the second rule for how you train your mind. You are intelligent to the degree that you give the mind of God action in you. Now, here's where that conscious phase of mind comes in, because remember what I said, that conscious phase of mind is pivotal. So there's a lot of things that are happening in our world right now. At the time of this broadcast, there is Viola Davis has won an Emmy. There is a whole movement afoot called Black Lives Matter. The Pope just came to the U.S. Donald Trump is running for president. Yeah, I mean, this is in the U.S., so I know that there's plenty of stuff happening elsewhere. My point is that your conscious mind is looking and taking in all of this information. Now, also, the ideas that God is pressing in on you, love, peace, joy, happiness, right? And it's almost like competing forces. And so your conscious mind has to make a decision about what it deposits in your subconscious mind. And so you've got the preacher over here saying, hey, all is well, all shall be well, life is good, God is love. I don't care what it looks like, it's peace. I don't care if they are shouting white power or Black Lives Matter or whatever they're shouting, all is well. And then you've got yourself looking at all of this, and every day, especially if you're on Facebook, I realized that there was a time when I had cut the news out of my life, so I cut a lot of just kind of negativity out of my life, and then I realized that Facebook became the news source, because, you know, they got the articles, like you get your news from Facebook now. And every day, there's a new article, it seems like, of some African-American man or woman being killed by the policeman. It's like, wait. I don't want these images in my head, because I'm not looking to recreate that for myself or for anybody in my life. Now, I know this is going to upset some people, and people are going to think I'm telling you to put your head in the sand. It's not what I'm saying. It's not what I'm saying. But my point is that stuff is getting deposited in your subconscious mind, and you've got to make a decision about what goes in. Incidentally, let me say this. One of the things that you find in the Gospels, and pretty much throughout the Bible, is that spiritual enlightenment is tied to taking a stand against social injustice. So this is not a theology that asks you to put your head in the sand. This is a theology that actually asks you to deal with yourself and then take a stand for the divinity of all humankind. So it is actually a very active theology. But anyway, I'm going to get into that. That's a whole other ball of wax. Alita says the Pope is being heavily protested against in California. This is Marvin on the East Coast. They love him to death. Didn't Paul say to focus on good things? Yes, he did. So, Constance says, I choose what to focus on, and it certainly is not, amen, all the stuff that is going on. When I hear it or see it, I know the truth, that there is only one power. Yes, there's only one power. So when you let the mind of God have action in you, essentially what you're doing is saying, not my will, but thy will be done. And here's the thing, if satisfying the personal will had ever worked, we'd all be happy and content, right? There'd be nothing to look for. But it turns out satisfying the personal will really does not work. And so what she says here is pray to lose the desire to even desire your own will. Like just say, take this, blot out of me this desire for human will. And again, allowing God to have action in you does not get rid of the personal, it spiritualizes the personal. Number 3, how you train your mind. You are doing the living, and life is what you make it. What the mind shapes will come into the manifest. When you look at the world and say, this is unfair, it's not right that these things are done to, well, no, that's not it. But this is, that life is unfair. And they won't let you, and you know, it just depends on who your they is. They won't let you do X, Y, and Z. Everybody's got a they, including people who, everybody's got a they. And the thing is that what your mind shapes becomes your experience. It is your mind that determines your world. Your mind is your world. And again, do not run from the Frankenstein that you've created. Number 4, you've got to know that you have as much power as anyone that has ever been on this planet or ever will be. And I put it here on purpose, including Jesus. We want to venerate Jesus, and this is not taking Jesus down off the pedestal. I'm just telling you to get up there with him. Now, obviously, this is in degree, because we're still expressing and he has ascended, right? So this is you in degree, but in potential, you pack the same potential. Within you is the same power. Within you is the same power to defeat death. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Constance says, this is a refresher lesson for me, getting prepared to teach Basic Truth 1 and 2 next week. Oh, cool. Basic Truth 1 and 2 are our foundation courses in well, probably Unity as well, but definitely in the Universal Foundation for Better Living. But this is so key, because we lift up other people and then put ourselves down. Whoever it is, if you just bring to mind somebody that you think is just amazing. You know, I am really enamored with Barack Obama and his ability to focus in the face of just utter chaos, right? I find that amazing. I find it amazing that, you know, generally your second term, especially the last year of your second term, is considered like your lame duck session, and he is killing it. And I think that that's fascinating. I don't care what your politics are. That's fascinating. You don't have to like him, but that's fascinating. And so think about who you put on a pedestal, right? And I'm telling you to get up on that pedestal next to them. You've got to raise your opinion of yourself and begin to see yourself as God sees you. And then you've got to allow the infinite to think its thoughts through you. This one is key, because there are 2 types of thinking, right? There's the type of thinking that rearranges the world as it is. It just mixes puzzle pieces as is, and it's like shuffling things on a checkerboard. And you see that when a new idea comes through Hollywood. Like Star Wars came, and then every other film that came afterward was like Star Wars. And then Inception came, and you had a bunch of well, nobody tried to copy Inception because that was so otherworld. But my point is that when somebody reaches into the infinite and grabs that thought that's never been thought before, then you get a bunch of copycats. But here's the thing. Anybody can get quiet enough and reach into the infinite. Anybody can get quiet enough and let God think its thoughts through them. Anybody can do that. And that's what you want. You weren't put here to keep the status quo. You weren't put here to hold the level of humanity where it is. What good would that do? If you look at the trend of nature, which is the trend of God, it's always growing up. Trees grow up. Plants grow up. Hello, that means we've got to grow up. So you weren't put here to be ordinary. God, you were not put here to be ordinary. I know I wasn't. It's not even, it don't even look good on you because it don't suit you. It's not who you are. It's not how you were constructed. Not if you were made in the image and likeness of the only miracle that there is, which is God, and you're made in the image likeness of that. So important. Change how you see yourself. And work with that. Get in the mirror. And I love this little kitty. It's like, get in the mirror and see a lion. You know, you might only be 40 pounds, but see that extra 200 on you. I don't know how much the lions weigh. But number 5, do not contradict common sense. I got to read this exactly as she wrote it. This I thought was huge because we want to contradict common sense, right? We want to pray for what we have not planted seeds for. Okay, this is on page 33 in the text that I have. I actually don't know where it is in the PDF, meaning what the page number is. She says, in training your mind, do not ask it to contradict common sense. An intelligent orchidist or gardener does not plant a persimmon tree and then solemnly in treatment address it. I affirm, you shall produce oranges. He does not plant an apple tree and then affirm to convince himself that the tree is going to give him some apples. Being intelligent, he plants an orange tree when he wishes to grow oranges, and he knows that he will receive apples from an apple tree. He understands that mind has forms of expression, and he knows that in all cases, the form indicates the fruit to be born. The form indicates the fruit to be born. So what's the form of your thoughts? Are you planting thoughts of plenty? And how are you doing that? And are you doing it consistently? Or did you plant at one time when you went to church last month? And then every other day of the week, you're planting thoughts of lack. But then you're, affirming over those thoughts of lack. I know that you will produce millions for me. Huh? How does that work? This universe, God is not mocked. If you don't plant the seed, it can't come for you. You've got to plant the seed. And I'm going to give you a secret. Tie your seed planting to a physical action. What do I mean? What I mean is that, for example, I am developing myself as a best-selling author. So I could simply sit and affirm, I am a best-selling author, I am a best-selling author. The problem with that is that there's nothing to anchor it. And so it would take years for that thought to finally land in my heart, in my subconscious phase of mind, and become my experience. What I am doing, and I showed this to you guys, to the people who were, before we opened the broadcast, that I have a little checklist. I use something called Evernote. And I love Evernote. Evernote is just incredible. It's free. There's a premium version, but the one I use is free. I love it because you can pick it up on all of your devices, on your computer, on your laptop, on your iPad, whatever, on your tablet. Anyway, so with Evernote, what I did is I created a 2-week checklist, and then I have a goal, of like where I want to be at the end of that 2 weeks. And then I've got the action, which is for me right now, writing 30 minutes a day. And the only requirement that I have of myself is that I write 30 minutes a day. That's, you know, because to get to that end goal of what I want to have finished as far as the piece in that 2 week period. And then every day I check in. It allows you to put a little checkbox. Every day I check in and I just check off the little box that says, did I write today for 30 minutes? Yes, I did. And then I have a timer on my iPad that I literally, oh, that doesn't really show it. Okay. I literally have a little timer. That's a bad image. On my iPad, and I literally just hit start, right? And write for my 30 minutes. Sometimes I go longer, sometimes I don't. But my point is that I tie the seed planting to a physical activity. Why? Because I'm building feeling for me as a best-selling author. I'm building feeling for that. And I'm sitting and I'm writing every day. Eventually I'll get to a place where I'll up it to an hour, let's say, or up it to 45 minutes. But right now, my minimum is 30 minutes. So again, I'm planting a seed. Use a physical activity to anchor the seed that you're planting. Oh, I love this. Follow the trend of your mind. Follow the trend of your mind. This, I'm just going to have to read it exactly as she says it here. It's on page 33 as well. If you work with the trend of mind, your life will be fruitful. In you, one particular form of expression is nearer to the surface than all others. That form must express first, then, after it, all others in the order of their precedence. Do not try to disarrange the order of manifestation. Do not ask your plum tree to produce peaches. To ensure order, you must think coherently. To produce finished results, you must think to a conclusion. I'll tell you a personal experience. When I graduated from film school, one of the things that started happening is I started to get speaking gigs. And that was a love of mine. I love speaking. I love, you know, getting in front of a crowd and sharing and teaching, right? It's always been a satisfying thing. And it started to take off, and I had gotten Prudential as a client, and I had other clients that were coming, and it scared me because it was like, wait, I won't get to make films. And so I literally put it aside because I said, I'm going to concentrate on film, and I'll come back to this. What is interesting is that I put the filming aside and come back to the thing that I started doing in the first place. Don't try to stifle what is trying to be birthed in you. Keep it alive and let it come out. The spirit in you knows the order in which it's supposed to come out. The spirit knows the order in which it's meant to press into expression. And so you want to follow the trend in your mind because there's something in you that's ready to be birthed right now. And it's probably the thing that for one reason or another you're stifling. And it's like, let that be birthed in you. And in my mind at the time when I was in my 20s, I had no concept of how I would be a speaker, a motivational speaker, and then also make movies. I couldn't see a way for both of those things to happen. And so I was going to dictate to God how God was going to press out of me. Anyway, I find that hilarious. So the thing is, you want to follow the trend in your mind. Again, you're training your mind to think in a straight line. So you want to, there's an expression in you that's ready to come out now. And that's the one you want to allow out now. Oh, number 7. This is another one where I got to read it and I got to say it because she says that this is on page 34. Temperament is mental alcoholism. It spurs and it drugs. If you would know your mental power, discard temperament. Stability and regularity will become your aim when you understand that your mental habits are also your life habits. How you do anything is how you do everything. And so this idea that you're going to have, somebody said it this way, maybe this will help explain it. That there's a guy, Hal Elrod. He wrote a book called Miracle Mornings, and he talked about hitting the snooze button. And when and hitting the snooze button, I'm gonna get some extra sleep, is that literally you're sending a message to the universe, and I'm saying you're sending a message to your mind that you're not ready for life. How you do anything is how you do everything. And so you think you're only hitting the snooze button when it's time to get up in the morning, but the truth is that you're hitting the snooze button everywhere else in your life too. Your mental habits are your life habits. And there is no such thing as, oh, I don't feel like doing that right now. If you will realize that inspiration is continuous, because inspiration comes from God, and God never rests. God is always available. God is everywhere evenly present. And so inspiration is everywhere evenly present. And so there is no day where I can get up and say, you know what, the muse is not with me now. I can't really get into this. The ideas are not popping. No. Train my mind. Think in a straight line. Inspiration is available because inspiration comes from God, and God is always available. Whether and to what extent I want to believe it in that moment, God is always available. I got 2 comments here. Okay, got it. Marvin, I missed your comment. I missed what it was about. Sorry. Anyway, this is the thing. Work by the rule of ever readiness. And one of the ways that you can do that is to set up a daily discipline. Because when you set up a daily discipline, then it's like, it's not about emotion. It's not about judgment. It's not about any feeling. It's like, you know what? I got 30 minutes. I got to write every day, period. Did I get it done? So I'm ever ready. Ever ready. That's it. Work by the rule of ever readiness. So in review, the rules for training your mind. Number 1, you are what your thoughts assemble. Every thought, good or bad, builds character according to its character. Builds according to its character, excuse me. Every thought, good or bad, builds according to its character. Number 2, you are intelligent to the degree you give the mind of God action in you. We are both inlet and outlet for spirit. Let our expressions match their source. Train your conscious phase of mind to look to God and not to the world. Number 3, you are doing the living, and your life is what you make it. You are doing the living, and your life is what you make it. Embrace every aspect of you. Love you as you are right now. Number 4, you have as much power as anyone that ever has been on this planet or that ever will be. See yourself as the spiritual giant you are. Number 5, do not contradict common sense. Expect what you have planted and plant what you expect. Number 6, follow the trend of your mind and your life will be fruitful. Resist the urge to dictate to spirit what should come next in your life. And finally, number 7, your mental habits are also your life habits. Challenge yourself to dissolve the thoughts that support your faults. Challenge yourself to dissolve the thoughts. So the part of you that keeps hitting snooze, wherever that is in your life, it may not be hitting the snooze button literally. Challenge yourself to dissolve that thought. Just let it go. I'm always ready for God. I'm always ready for life. So here's my call to action to you. Choose an area where you want to correct your thinking, and then use the 7 rules to guide your work. Give yourself 30 days to see your results, and then come back and leave a comment on this YouTube video with your results. Thank you so much. Any questions? Any questions? Reverend Barbara says, you were talking to me about the snooze button. I'm talking to me too. I hit the snooze button. I'm glad I said that because it brought it back. But those mental habits, they're our life habits. And the thing is I'm not just hitting the snooze button with the alarm in the morning. I'm hitting the snooze button on other places in my life, on bringing love into my life. I'm hitting the snooze button. God help me, I'm hitting the snooze button. What I'm waiting for? It's available. God is available. If God is always available, then love is always available. So, talking to myself. Counselor says, "Oh my, powerful class, and I have been posting on Facebook this lesson." Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, I should say that. I have a Facebook page. Maybe I can try to find it. I have a Facebook page, and so I post things. I've been finding some powerful videos. I found this video. Goodness, it was Sarah, Duchess Sarah, and okay, there we go. Duchess Sarah, and it was just fire because what she did was she put it there. So it's facebook.com/Rev Sherri James. Facebook.com/Rev Sherri James. So it was this video where she had to tame this wild Mustang. And I found it because, like I said, I've been working with the letter of James in my personal Bible study. And it talks about the horse and putting a bit in the horse's mouth. And the reason that stood out to me today is because when I took Jordan out to this park thing that we do on Thursday mornings, a horse passed by, and we were able to, the guy stopped, and he was able to pet the horse. And it was wonderful. And he wasn't scared or anything. He just pet the horse. It was wonderful. Anyway, but I saw the bit that was in this guy's mouth, in the horse's mouth. And so that story, that part of the scripture really just kind of just jumped out at me, and I thought about how, so much gets this man can make this horse go wherever he wants it to go because he has the bit in his mouth. Well, I started looking at, well, how do people train horses? And so in doing that, because that's how my Bible study works, it just kind of goes, right, wherever Spirit takes it. Anyway, I found this video, and this video is of Sarah having to tame this horse. And you have to tame it, you have to break it before you can put the bit in its mouth so that it knows that you are in control and that you are the master of it. This whole process, and there was a point at which she had to assert her authority over this animal, but she couldn't get up and touch the animal, but she had to command the animal to go in the direction that she wanted to go. And essentially, she was in this like cylindrical tank with just her and the animal. And there's a cameraman, the camera's in there, but not in the arena with her. And you're watching her work with this animal, and it was so powerful. Anyway, I posted this video on my Facebook page because it really it made me think about the tongue and taming the tongue, because that's portion of what the letter of James is about taming the tongue and the call to do that. And the tongue is this powerful member because what you say creates your world, right? Your thoughts press out into words, and your words turn into your life. And so there was this point at which the horse was not going the way that she wanted it to go, and she had to work with it. And she had to be patient. And when it didn't work out the way that she wanted it to, she couldn't get caught up emotionally in it because it would have reduced her credibility with the horse. And it's the same thing with our tongue, that we get caught up in ourselves when we don't manifest life the way that we want to, and we get frustrated and angry and sad or whatever our reaction is. And the thing is that, and she's Imelda says this on I can't find it immediately. I used it as a quote in the blog post, but she says basically train yourself to react sanely to the experiences of your life. And so it was only when the Duchess reacted sanely to the horse not doing what she wanted it to do that she was able to gain control over the horse. But and the thing is, you got to think about that with your own life. So many times we don't react sanely to the things that happen in our lives. The bill collector calls, and all of a sudden, all of the whatever we've got about the fact that we've got a bill that in this moment that we cannot pay, all of that stuff comes up. And it's like, no, train yourself to react sanely to the things that come up in your life. Powerful video. Go take a look at it. So again, it's facebook.com/Rev Sherri James. Powerful, powerful video. Anyway, thank you so much for tonight. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Next week we'll be on chapter 3, which I believe is called Your Consciousness. your consciousness, chapter 3. If you want a free copy of the text, you can go to truthunity.net and just do a search for Imelda Shanklin, IMELDA Shanklin, SHANKLIN, and you'll be able to pull up the text and get the text for free. And come join us. We're gonna dig in and get into step 3 in the process of empowering the spiritual giant within you. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a beautiful night.